So I go, what am I supposed to do with this? As a matter of fact, do I need to do anything with it? It's so beautiful, the paper is, and you can see the actual book in one of the vitrines over there. I can't do anything with this. I would defile it. What would, and so I left it alone, but his words haunted me. And now and then I would look at it, you know, and I would always pretty much walk away until one day I discovered gesso. Gesso. And so I put a layer of gesso on the page, and for some reason I could approach it now. And these are some of the images that I began to play with. They're very, this is when I came over on the boat from Sicily, 1958. Very autobiographical. Now don't misunderstand me. I didn't sit down, you know, like Shakespeare. He didn't sit down and say, now I need a word that rhymes with molasses. Let me see, what word rhymes with molasses? It doesn't work that way. I only discovered it later on, especially after looking at a lot of paintings by De Chirico, that that's what had happened. There was this memory of coming here on a boat 14 days across the Atlantic, 1958. This is a self-portrait because I got to know my face. I began to do, and I still do, self-portraits all the time. I think there's several hundreds, you know, and so I discovered that now I could do my face with my eyes closed, you know, and as long as I have these certain patterns, it'll look like me, no matter what I do with it. So then, this again, you know, this is the top. We used to play, you know, and hit the tops, man. These tops were like almost weapons. You know, these heavy, heavy tops. I'm like 7 years old, 6 years old, man. And it's a serious thing. I'm trying to break the other guy's top. You know, it was like dangerous, actually. And that's that game. So these are very, very, I discovered very, very autobiographical. They're documents. It's got nothing to do with art. You know, this has got to do with a person being alive, you know, and having some experiences to share. Okay, that's, you would think that this is a 6-hour video selfie. Yeah, I was given a camera, and again, you know, do something with it. You know, so I go, well, this is a nice thing. You know, so I just put it on every night, and then it added up to 6 hours of stuff. And then I didn't see it for like almost 10 years. I didn't look at it. And I was looking through it to see what was there. And then all of a sudden, who should appear but my dear cat Charlie, who had died about a couple of years earlier. And he would stay with me, and I miss him to this day. And there he was, walking around, keeping me company through the night. You know, we're both nocturnal animals, you know, and we'd have these incredible conversations, Charlie and I. And when he died, I don't think I wept so much as when my father died. You know, and my good friend Scott Abbott says, you know, well, you know why you feel so much for him? I says, why? Because you both speak the same language, which we did. We'd have these long, incredible conversations through the night, no matter what it was. And he'd respond, and it was an enlightenment because he was an enlightened being. He was an enlightened being. He was a little Buddha. He was a Buddha. Okay? And this is Charlie in his better days. You know? That's Charlie in his better days. Right there. Constantly at odds with himself, and then in perfect harmony. The one who can see is deliriously content. And it's important to me because I don't know where Charlie begins and I end. You know, we sort of share this place. You know, that in that image where we both kind of communicate with each other. So I used to work for Word Perfect. You remember Word Perfect? And we used to have an office down by the river bottoms there. Next to our office, there was this place, this cubby people. They used to meet in the morning, and they used to chant things like, "Today we're going to succeed. Success, success, success." 200-300 people chanting like this. Success, success, success. And then they'd come out, all with suits and ties and all things, and then they would win these trophies, etc., etc. So the guys in the office, knowing how I felt about winning success and dressing in proper attire, decided they stole one of these statues. They stole it and publicly awarded it to me as the best dressed, most likely to succeed employee. And we all had a good fun. So I put it on my desk and it's there, and he was bugging me. I go, this poor soul, he can't go on life like this. How can I save him? What can I do to salvage his spirit, to salvage his innocence, to salvage his creative being? What can I do? And out of his head came this incredible flame. Wow! And I go, that's it. That's it. And I made a little mask for him. And I put it on him. And then I made one for myself, which tomorrow night I will wear. Because you see, he's traveler. And tomorrow night he's going to dance. Traveler dances. So you see what I mean when I say, I don't think of this as art. I don't think of this as an object to sell, an object to make beauty. You know, this is not to make beauty, to make something, you know, you understand what I'm saying? This is part of a human being's guts. Oh, these, too many stories. Oh, come around me. This is, you know, I'm a devotee of Orpheus, and when I read his story of how he was so heartbroken, Eurydice, she had died, and he wanted to revivify her through the power of poetry. And of course, it's an impossible thing. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. But being an Orphic kind of guy, I believe I could do it. And so I went to the West Desert, and I picked out appropriate bones. And there was a show here at this time called Heaven and Hell that had to do with this myth, which I said, man, I think I could dig doing something for this myth, because I believe in the power of the word to bring flesh back to bones by the sheer power and speech. I can bring this dead thing back to life. I could do it. And this is Bones and Love Poems. And so I did. And could you imagine my surprise when it didn't work? It didn't work. So I gotta try again next time. It's early yet. This is a miscellany of things. This is one of the last bricks from the Bunno House on UVU campus that they demolished. This beautiful, unassuming little junky house. They could have left it alone. They had no right to do this. These guys, they go in, tear it down, you know, as a matter of fact, where they should have left it alone and built the thing around it, which they did. It would have been an incredible thing to have on campus. You see, but no, and this is June 2012. My son is part cat. Because he comes up to me and says, look what I found down in the basement by the boiler. Do they call it boiler now? What do they call it now?
Furnace.
The furnace. I found this dead bird. He says, wow. And again, I'm obsessed. I wanted that bird to keep flying forever. I wanted to build a sky. You understand? A sky that will last forever. You understand? Not like this one we got over here. You know, not that one. The sky, the eternal sky with eternal stars, and where we could be flying and floating and have clouds. Oh man, and we would name the clouds, each one by a whole different name. Anyway, that's what that was. Another futile attempt. What is this? Am I doomed to death? Am I doomed to die? Is that what you're telling me? You know, I keep wanting to. One of the greatest artists of the 20th century, seriously, Bruce Conner. When he died, I felt like a friend died, and I regret not meeting him. And I did a series. He did these Rorschach paintings, you know, that he did. You know, literally dozens and dozens of them. And in his honor, I did 4 of them. You know, got one here, and one is blown up there, and one is at home. You know, and so I folded the paper, and you know, in folding those papers, right, again, am I
illogic,
I thought I could.
whole landscapes of human woe.
It didn't work. I unfolded it, you know, and it was interesting, you know, and I filled in the blanks, you know, and wished them well. This is probably one of the oldest pieces here, Foam and Sand. It's a scroll, 1973, and
An eye for the eye.
there's one shot, handwritten, you know, and these words come out. Yeah, let me give you a little sample. Foam and sand, foam and sand, foam and sand, foam and sand, foam and sand. Split of foam and sand, 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 legal foam and sand, foam and sand, sand, foam and sand, foam and sand, foam and sand, foam and sand, bud, foam and sand, etc. See, I don't do drugs no more. You couldn't do that with drugs. Seriously. Don't do drugs. I was in my roof in Brooklyn, 1978, and I'd been meditating all day under the sun, looking straight at the sun for almost 4 hours, straight at the sun, unwavering. And then at the end of that time, I went downstairs and I poured cold water on top of my head, and the whole place exploded. Everything exploded in white light, and I saw that. I saw that. And I saw this arm reaching down with a hook. And at the end of the hook was a fish. And the fish was being pulled out of water. And it was all in Hebrew. And I drew it. And that started this series of experiments with, you know, there's nothing like using a language you don't know. It is an incredible experience. Yeah. Yeah. Your own unknown languages. You understand what I'm saying? The language you don't know. Like when little kids are speaking. You know, like when crazy people are talking. Language you don't know. And so it took me another this is all 78, and about 2 months I did this whole thing. And then it took me until 1996 or so, 97, to do the white parts, which are commentaries on what this is about. Because to tell you the truth, I really didn't know what I was saying or doing or whatever. And it took me that long to try to figure it out and to ask people. And some of these good folks, Castellanos was one of them. I asked about Jackson McLough, if you don't know him. Jerome Rothenberg, one of the most incredible anthologists, American anthologists. And they assured me that I was not crazy. Yeah, which I needed to hear, to tell you the truth. Because there's nothing worse than solipsism. The self-referential language in your mind, when things make sense, but only for you and nobody else, and everybody else looks at it and says, what the hell is that? But you know clearly what it is, and you're the only one. It's not a nice state to be in. I don't believe in chance. I don't believe in chance. T-S or C-H. Chance. I don't believe in chance. I don't believe in coincidence. But I do believe in coincidence. Yeah. And so these are two experiments we're trying to capture coincidences. Things that coincide, right? Things that match up in ways that cannot be explained. See, right now, right within the body of this work, there is a phrase that will remain unknown, and the way to find out what it is to take the nail out and go and see all the words that it perforated, and then put that together, and that would tell you the code word. This coincidence, that's coincidence with nail. This is coincidence with a thread. So I'm reading a text. This text by William Burroughs. I'm reading a text, you know, and I read the word Weimar. I put it down, open up another text, right? Goethe, read it, and there it is. Weimar. I put it down, read another text. There it is. Weimar. I don't know Weimar. It could be anything else. But that's what the words are blended together into this other space where things make sense in ways that they cannot make sense here. A coincidence. A coincidence. So I'm writing poem after poem after poem after poem after poem, and I'm making decisions. This is a draft that goes out, This is a draft, that goes up, this stays in, this is the final one, I'm finished now. And I said, what are you doing? What criteria are you using to make a decision that this is a final draft and that this is a better poem than what you throw away? What do you do? So I kept all the drafts. And then I took them and I put the correction marks and painted each one. And it produced, I think, visually interesting paintings, I think. And so this is a new economy where waste is beautiful, where nothing is thrown away, because everything is functional. Everything is part of beauty, you know. And so, because I noticed I would, my first draft would be red, you know, second draft would be green, third draft would be. So I did that, and I have all. When I've read these, I read now all the drafts, one after another, as if it was one poem, with all the pauses, with all the repetitions, with all the words that are left out, all of it. And I no longer have to make that decision of making that godlike decision of you go out, you stay in, you go to hell, you go to heaven. See, because there really was no reason on the earth. They were all kind of beautiful. I'm a word perfect. And, well, actually it started out with this, with me taking pictures. My friend Gary, I think it was Gary or my wife, I can't remember. She had just given me a robe with Japanese, Chinese embroideries. And so I wore it. And my hair at the time was like this. If you look at these pictures, and it was coming down to here. Nice solid black, thick hair like that. Like a pyramid, like that. And so I was experimenting with an alphabet. And any time you touch fingers, you get a word, preferably in Syriac or Hebrew or Ethiopic. And so I was fooling around with this and making these signs, and I took these pictures, these photographs. This is it, all of it, and then I translated them. But I was in work, and there was this program, you know, where you could solarize an image, break it up, you know, do all sorts of funky things with images. And I was doing that when all of a sudden I came up with this. And I was startled because it was like of a strange animal, ritual being, you know, something out of Maui, Hawaii, someplace really strange, you know, like that. And I go, wow, oh my God, you know, I'm a shapeshifter, and I just shifted. So I was showing this to a good buddy of mine, Shoti, and he said, you know, I could build you that so that you could use it as a mask with a breastplate. I said, you could do that? You have the skills to do that? Are you kidding me? Yes, I could build it for you. I go, wow, really? Come on, stop it. You're fiddling with my emotions, toying with my brain. And so he built it. And I put it on. And I started to do a dance. Another dance. Wow. A kinesthetic dance where every move has got a meaning and a pronunciation and a saying. And it's an alphabet that we all know, but we forget. Shania, Erechamoyai, Ribe Bom, Shum, Abranma, Eyo. Well, I took a picture. these are little books that I've been producing because I was writing so much, and I'm publishing so little, that I said, well, what's that about? Well, it's about not getting published. I started reading my own books, my chapbooks, and I separated them into two categories. One of them I give as gifts. Well, it's not really a gift. No, it's not a gift. Because, it's what I call gratis currency. It's a currency, a denomination that is made of energy and flow. And the idea of gifting is part of an energy exchange more than an object exchange. But that's another story. So I'm studying Leibniz. And again, see, like with that, I don't know, the freak is Leibniz? I don't know who he is. But I like what he's doing. I like how he's thinking. And he wrote this incredible book called Monad. And I fell in love with the word. And I looked at the book and I would read it and not understand the word. But I know what he was saying. And this exploded. This is probably the first printed thing that I ever had. And I made it so, and my understanding is that every line here is self-contained and at the same time connected to every other line so that you can read it and jump off to any other line and stop in either direction, and it always will make sense, no matter what you do, no matter what you read. So it's omnidirectional, omnisensual, always making sense like that. And so there it is. So my buddy, I lost him. I didn't have it anymore. So he said, I have 3 left. So he gave me 3. And from these 3 that he gifted me, I figured I'd do a little triptych, and give it the thing of spinning. So if you read any of these lines, you can go to the next line or jump to any place you want in any direction. Many times you can jump from here to here and pick it right up. It will always make sense. I mean, whatever sense that is. Belle Clough, the dear friend, Belle Clough. She calls me and says, we want to do a movie, a film, and we need a soundtrack. So we went to a studio, and they had done a film, and Maida Withers from Washington came in, and I saw the film, and this is the score to it. And it's for drum solo. And yes, I could repeat it. Exactly. This is the sonata. The sonata. In my mind, I'm in my mind, I mind my mind, don't mind my mind, mine and mine, my mind is mine, my mind, mine's my mind, man's mind is mine, woman's mind is mine, my man's mind, mine's my woman's mind, my mind, my woman's mind, mine's my man's mind, my mind is kind, don't mind mine, I don't mind, mine is mine, I mind mine, never mind. Anyway.